Hi, everybody. This is Dan Cerrucci, and I'm here with John Edmunds of Eyes on NJ. John, I don't know, should I call it a network or a media operation, or how would I characterize Eyes on NJ or Eyes on New Jersey?
Oh, well, that's a great question. And first of all, thanks for having me on the show again, Dan. I appreciate it. I enjoyed our last conversation we shared together, and I look forward to this one today. So with that being said, the Eyes and NJ brand, it originally started off as a sort of like a news programming source, and now it's sort of morphed into a network. We have an array of different types of programming under this network. We have we got straight news, we got left opinion, we got right opinion, and then we got sort of boots on the ground, um, restaurant catering, touring, featuring sort of programming, and that's what the Pulse with Peter B. He does his thing in Hoboken, so he brings our interviewers and people up to speed on what goes on over there.
So it can primarily be found on the internet. Is that right?
That's right. You just go on Google or Bing or whatever. You just type in Eyes and NJ, and we'll show
And,
right up.
and, and you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook. You can be found at eyesonnj.org.
That's correct. Yes.
And John, I got to tell everybody, this is such an impressive young man. I found him like I find a lot of people through the internet and through Facebook. And I saw some of his early reports that he did. And I said, wow, look at what this guy's doing. And you're the founder of this operation. You're the producer. You're the lead anchor. Where did this idea come from, John?
That's a great question. Before I owned Eyes and NJ Network, we launched it back in April of last year. But before I did that, I produced a high definition satire network that served the entire state of New Jersey. And we were turning stones in issues across the whole state. And we were making some headway. Excuse me, paving the road for positive change and that sort of things for communities. And it got to the point where it was let's just say it was upsetting more people than it should have. So we had to sort of take a step back, restructure, and then that's where Eyes and NJ came
People
from.
in New
So
Jersey would be upset with satire, John. I don't understand it.
yeah, when they're the butt of the joke, they're not happy.
Well, in this politically correct age, and would you describe yourself as a millennial, or are you later than the millennial? You're sort of like in the next generation. I don't know if you fit into the millennial category.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really understood all that stuff. I mean, I know that they're sort of categorized in different decades of birth and whatnot. So I guess I would be considered a millennial. I sort of socialize with millennials and the like. So I guess you could consider me that.
Yeah, so I mean, you're well aware of all the sensitivities that are so current now, and everything that people become offended by, and being politically correct, and so forth. But New Jerseyans are sort of, shall we say, to put it mildly, blunt. Okay, they can be very direct, right, John?
Oh, sure. No, it's a very this is a very fast-paced, fast-talking state that we live in. I mean, if you don't get with the program, if you don't get with what is transforming from year to year here, you just can't keep up. You have to be very fast-paced to exist in the society here.
You've been in New Jersey all your life.
All my life, yep. Born and
and
raised.
and grew up where?
In northern New Jersey, in the county of Passaic, which
Okay,
borders.
Passaic County. Yes,
Yes.
I know quite a few people in Passaic County, and you just had a very colorful, uh, let's say, a vibrant, pugnacious congressional candidate there, Billy Prempa, who I've met. And Billy must have been fun to cover, huh?
Oh, he is a real riot, that guy. I really, I talked about him on the last interview I had about him, and I really commended Billy for the way that he handled. There was these. Did you happen to catch that clip where he was, he was campaigning at an Englewood parking lot in a shopping district, and these two women, well, actually a mother and her daughter, approached him, and they just harassed him nonstop, and they were shouting at him, calling him a racist and all this wild stuff. And this guy, under all this pressure, all these screaming and whatnot, he was just able to keep his composure and just laugh it off. And like, that kind of behavior, I really commend.
John, you seem to have a knack, and I'm urging everybody to go to eyesonnj.org or look them up on Twitter or Facebook. John on Facebook is John Edmunds IV, John Edmunds IV. So you come from a long line of John Edmunds.
Yes.
And, he's very proud of that moniker, and well, he should be. But you seem to have a knack, John, for being where the action is. I mean, you've covered a lot of demonstrations, confrontations. One that I saw recently, fairly recently, was the lady who was trying to put the sign up over I guess it was the turnpike, and the state police came. It was a big sign. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, sure. The woman that you were speaking of, she was one of the founders of the NJ for Medical Freedom. I believe that's the name the group goes by now. And they've been holding rallies since the beginning of this year. I think they held the very first rally, opposing Governor Murphy's business lockdowns and all that took place back in March and April. And I was there to participate with her very first protest at the Capitol State House.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was another one of her organizations. This seems to be a trend in states across the United States of America where these groups, they are putting these banners up, over major interstates to get awareness on the risks associated with the vaccination for the coronavirus COVID-19.
Right.
So apparently there's some the manufacturers that they're not completely liable for what may or may not occur for those who take this vaccine after the fact. So many of these grassroots groups across the nation, they put these signs up, raising awareness on it. And that's exactly what Ayla Wolf was doing there that day. She went there with her group, and they attempted to use zip ties. They zip tied this long banner. It must have been at least like 20 or 30 feet long.
Oh, it was immense. I mean, it went clear across the overpass for the turnpike, and it basically said that these coronavirus vaccine manufacturers are not liable for anything that might happen. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but it was a very, very big banner, and it didn't stay up there very long, did it, John?
No. The organizers were heard on camera saying that it was up for about 2 hours before the NJ Turnpike Authority radioed in to the New Jersey State Police to go in, basically dismantle the banner and the group, and have everyone just leave. That was basically what happened.
And you were right there when she and her group, it was a relatively small group that she had of people that were helping her, when they were confronted with the state police. And
no, I actually wasn't there on scene. I was actually watching live from my home.
Okay. But it certainly seemed like you were there. Okay.
Well, she's kind enough to take really nice camera angles and whatnot, and good audio, so I can clearly hear what's going on in the situation and be able to make a determination,
Okay.
a factual observation of what took place, and then report on that.
I got to tell you, folks, this whole report was put together very professionally with John's reporting and commentary. Very professionally. If somebody from any of the major stations are looking or watching, and I happen to know a lot of people in the media, take a look at this guy, because he is really a really good reporter, and I would say enterprising, very enterprising young man. Did you study communications, John?
Oh, thank you for the kind words, Dan. I really appreciate that. And yes, I did pursue a production degree many years ago. So that sort of gave me the foundation to learn what the tools that I use today.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to Eyes on NJ or Eyes on New Jersey, it's actually eyesonnj.org, right?
Yes.
You're going to see some really high quality reports of things that are going on in New Jersey that for the most part you won't see anywhere else. You're unlikely to see anything else. And that brings me to another thing, John. I've always been concerned about the media coverage in this state because, as you know, we're split into two, North Jersey and South Jersey. North Jersey is covered by the New York media as a sort of afterthought mostly, and South Jersey is covered by the Philadelphia media as a sort of afterthought mostly. Newspapers are sinking, but we never did, and we still don't have a statewide newspaper. We don't have a statewide television or radio news. I mean, we do have a statewide public broadcast station, but it's really not, doesn't seem to be very well funded and doesn't give them that much news. What do they have, a half hour or hour newscasts every night, and that's it? So there's really a need here, John. Am I crazy to think that there's still a crying need here?
No, you're absolutely right with that thoughts. I mean, that was sort of what motivated me to launch this network. I mean, years ago when I exited my schooling program, I attempted to, apply naturally to some of these organizations like the ones you were mentioning earlier. And, that just, they essentially went nowhere. So it's like, I'm trying to think, what is this state really lacking? What is the state missing in news media? And it's sort of aligned with my views and the types of things I would like to see in news and storytelling. So that's what helped me launch this brand, to help keep, all 9 million residents educated with what's really going on across the state.
And I just think it's inspiring that a young person would come up with an idea like this and jump into it and have such a professional presence and ability to put these reports together, and also to give voice in many cases to people that are not getting coverage elsewhere and have powerful stories to tell. And now, John, I see you have several other people working at the network doing other programs and other reporting. Tell us about that.
Oh, sure. But before we get into that, I just want to touch upon one thing. The group that we were discussing earlier, who put the banner up over the turnpike,
Yes.
Ayla Wolf and her associates, they did reach out to all the news media networks that serve that area of Elizabeth, Union County, Essex County, that sort of region.
Yeah.
And they told me directly that not one media personality, network, reporter wanted to cover it. They just, no one went there. They said I was the only one. So, it really meant a lot to hear that.
And another thing, the reason why I sort of I mean, I didn't discover you, other people have discovered you, but the reason that I found out about you in the first place was that you were covering a huge demonstration. Well, I thought it was a fairly big demonstration in Trenton in the beginning of the COVID lockdown, or somewhere back there. I mean, it's been so long now, of people demonstrating against the lockdown. And I mean, you were right in there. You were right in the middle of it. And I didn't see that kind of coverage anywhere else. I really didn't. I don't know. Do you recall that?
I do. You're absolutely right. And I spoke with a lot of the people on the ground there that were, actively protesting in that, and they saw, my professional appearance, the type of equipment I was working with, and most of them assumed right off the bat that, I'm sort of with the mainstream media agenda because, I'm all, decked out with all this professional gear. So they sort of had that mindset. So I had to reel them back a little bit. It's like, no, that's not what I'm all about. Check out the site, and once they see it, once they see what I'm all about, they start to open up and whatnot. But it's like a tricky mindset. Living in here in New Jersey, it's just not something you see every day. So
No.
there's sort of that warming up period.
No.
I guess it takes
No.
people to get up to.
Like I said, the New York and Philadelphia stations sort of cover New Jersey. Let's go and cover something in New Jersey, every now and then. But tell us about some of the other people that you got
Oh,
working
sure,
with
sure.
on?
So
Because
I've been,
you're getting more variety now.
of course, yeah, I've been blessed to be partnered with some really, really great people. I really enjoy working with. From the beginning of it, two of the people that I used to produce satire with, they joined me on Eyes and NJ. That would be Jordan Kamowitz. He's the executive producer of the network, the co-executive producer of the network. He helps with a lot of the back end stuff. And then we have Rachel Appleton. She does a phenomenal job with the voiceover content. She does all our voiceovers for the narration, storytelling, intro, outros, promos, what have it. And they're fantastic people. They've been with me since almost the beginning. So
Okay.
after that, we've now launched with the two opinion shows. We have Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. He's gonna be coming back on actually this Monday at 7 p.m. He's gonna be live with some nice influential guests that live here and work here in New Jersey.
Okay.
And we're also going to be having and he is more of a center right leaning individual. So he's going to bring you the news, but he's going to bring you the news with center right leaning favoring.
All right.
So we have him, and then we have Imani Oakley. She runs the show called Upfront Now, and she's a very phenomenal woman. She's an attorney, and she brings on excellent guests, and she holds really great dialogues with them with a more left-leaning progressive tone. So it's sort of like a good way to get information from both sides of the aisle, on one network. That's sort of what I was
I
ideating.
think that's terrific, because if you were to go by some of the media reporting that we have in New Jersey, you wouldn't even know that there are conservatives in New Jersey. Because as far as the mainstream media are concerned, you almost never hear from them. For example, you're up there in Passaic County, you have a real powerhouse up there in the Republican Party, Susan Enderle, who's involved with the Republican Party of New Jersey, who's a state committee woman, I believe she is, who's an absolute powerhouse of a person that is an extremely hard worker, community oriented, community activated. I have to view her as one of the leading conservatives of New Jersey, but these people don't really get much attention, as far as I can tell.
The last thing I remember of Miss Enderle in the news was this is probably going years ago, maybe in 2016, maybe 2017, maybe. This was like a story I covered on the Satire Network, where she was just belittled with a tirade of insults and vulgarities by one of the opposing candidates. I think when she was running for councilwoman in the Wayne Township, I believe it was.
Yes, I think
that was
Wayne.
Yeah, honestly, that's the last time I've seen her name in the news cycle. Like you said,
Yeah.
these are good people. You're not hearing about them. Why is that?
Yes, and I met many of these people at the NJGOP summit, which was held just before the beginning of the lockdown. I think it was back in February this year. Maybe we can get, if they, well, I don't think they're going to hold the summit in 21, but when they bring it back again in 22, maybe we can get you or some other people from Eyes on NJ there covering it, because it's a really exciting event, and it's a great place to go to meet these people and find out about these people. There are thousands of them all over New Jersey, and because the state is so blue, so dominated by whether you want to call them liberals, progressives, or just outright socialists, we don't get to hear that much about them. Tell us about some of the interesting people you've met in your travels and reporting. We've already talked about a couple of them, John.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Billy Prempe, I'm going to say his name again. He's one of the most interesting fellows I think I've ever conducted an interview with.
You think he'll be running again for something?
Oh, definitely. With the passion and his attitude towards it, I could definitely see him run for something else. I think he was even talking about even running for something else as well. And like, I don't even live in that district. I keep my opinions, offline, but, I don't even run in that. I don't have a voice in that district, but if I did, just on his decorum and his way of just interacting with the people is just, he would just won my vote just off of that.
Right, right. Now, do you get in, are you able to get in like to cover the governor's news conferences and things like that?
No, no, I didn't. I did actually cover one. There was one up in Morris County where I was living, and it was interesting that the governor and his staff had actually elected this location, because where he held the press conference that day, it was on this little sort of private community reservation type land,
Uh-huh.
where it's all private property, and there's trees on all side, and it was a very strategic location to have a press conference, because obviously he can hold it without much criticism, and you know he's able to carry on cleaner that way. But even with that being said, the protesters and the opposition, they managed to get to the edge of the woods line and scream their chants through to him. And I actually live streamed that performance, that press conference he held that day, and in the audio you could hear it clear as day. People screaming at him. They're calling this guy I think a murderer, and a whole bunch of other things. And Murphy just laughed it off. He didn't answer it. I did see a former police officer. No, it was a veteran, retired police officer who just wanted to enter the press conference, and he would just sit and observe and watch the thing. And I just watched him get turned away and denied entry. So it's
Uh-huh.
really bizarre.
Morris County, of course, that's Chris Christie country. Uh, and that's where Christie lives, and that's where he served as a county freeholder. And Murphy has a pretty thick skin. If you saw that recent confrontation that he had with the woman in the restaurant, uh,
Oh yeah.
he showed, I don't know, I looked at it pretty closely, John. He looked a little surprised, but he was so disciplined that he didn't seem to want to show any reaction whatsoever as she, I mean, scolded him and used the foulest language you can imagine. His son responded, but he showed no, is pretty incredible to watch, wasn't it?
It was. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, I did actually see him. I was at a bar in Hoboken, and he came in with his family. He sat down and had a meal like in the same similar fashion, and I didn't see anyone approach him in that sort of manner. He just carried
Okay.
on his meal. And then I saw this video. Oh, this woman let him have it. And at some point, I think he put on his mask to, I don't know, either to cover his face expression or to maybe feel more protected. I'm not sure, but it was clear that he didn't want to issue any type of response whatsoever.
Well, if someone was shouting at me like that and they were projecting, I have to say, spit, okay? I would put my face mask on too if they got
Yeah.
close to me. I mean, I wouldn't want somebody shouting in my face like that. Now, I got to think that if it was Governor Christie, there would have been an entirely different reaction. In fact,
Oh,
my friend Governor Christie, who I'm proud to count as a friend, it wouldn't have gone over so easily with Governor Christie. I remember the confrontation that he had with somebody on the boardwalk in Seaside, I think it was, that didn't look like it was going to end well until his security contingent stepped in.
oh
Uh,
no. I don't think I caught that one. Call me old
so,
fashioned, but I don't think I saw that.
so John, um, where do you see this? Let's say, when do you think we're going to have a vaccine?
It's I feel like I'm completely uninformed on this whole matter altogether. I mean, the sources that I read, every source contradicts the other source, so it's hard to really make an established understanding or opinion on the whole matter. But early in the year, there was the mention of the vaccine. It would be years from now, even before there would be like one for human trials. And now I'm being told that they're going to be out next week, December 7th or December 11th or something like
Uh-huh.
that. There'd be a vaccine. So I'm not understanding this. And I feel like you need a whole team of journalists to really investigate this whole thing altogether to really make any factual findings whatsoever. I mean, I could spend day and night all year long, and I don't
Right.
even think I would reach the surface and what's going on here.
Because we've had so many conflicting reports and we have been given so many conflicting directions and rules and regulations, and they've changed so often. And I think people are just, they're suspicious, they're weary, they're confused. So I think you have expressed what's in a lot of people's minds, what's in a lot of people's minds right now. Um, and like I said, you're also giving voice. There's so many colorful characters in New Jersey. There are so many strong opinions. There are so many people that are passionate about things. It's not what you would call a calm or beige or homogenized state. Okay. And you're giving voice to some of these people, John.
It's good to hear. That's one of the reasons, why I launched this. Early on, I didn't believe that I had much of a voice myself until, I launched this network to sort of, raise awareness on some things that were bothering me. So in turn, I want to give a voice to the voiceless, and give them an opportunity to speak.
I think it's a good example of, something that probably started as you started as a citizen journalist, and now with the power of the internet and social media, you have made it into something that something that people can go to find out about things that they might not find out about anywhere else. And I think in a lot of ways, watching it, I watched some of it. I'm down here in South Jersey. It helps to bring the state together when you see other people in the state and what they're up to that you might not have even known about, okay, in other parts of the state. The most densely populated state, by the way, in the Union. So where do you see this Eyes on New Jersey going, John?
I see it. I mean, I hate to sound cliche and everything, but I see it growing. I see a lot of collaboration. I have, every day, I get emails. People wanting to join the team, want to contribute in some manner or fashion. So, I definitely believe that there is power in numbers. I'm not trying to grow a powerhouse here to put everyone else out of business, to kill every other media source. That's not what I'm
Right.
about. I'm just here to work with the people that I live, that are my neighbors. Like I said before, I was born and raised here. I have a caring sensation about people that live in this state. So I just care about people who live here. I just want to make it a better place to live, work, and play.
And how do you find out about stories? How do you decide where you're going and what you're going to be covering? Because that has fascinated me.
Uh, it's pretty much all social media. Yeah, I get emails, inboxes, Instagram directs, Twitter tags, all these things. They all come into my inbox. I can't even keep up with half of them. I probably cover about, I don't know, 5 or 10% of the stuff that comes in my way. It's just too much stuff to cover. So
But you
I
see,
try
this
to.
tells me that you're getting all this stuff. This tells me that the mainstream media are missing things. They're missing things. As you may know, John, I'm a public relations person. I've been in the public relations business all my life. So I've worked with media and I've worked with mainstream media. And I don't know, they're not as enterprising these days as I think they ought to be. They sort of wait for things to come over the transom, and they cover the entrenched and the powerful. Okay, they do these lists of the most powerful people as if we're supposed to be impressed with them, but they're missing the people that really are the state. So the fact that you're getting all these tips and this feedback and these opportunities to cover things tells me that there's a whole nother world that's not really being covered. Am I
Couldn't have
crazy?
said. Oh no, no, you're not crazy at all. You couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're the main, the mainstream media that probably for many that word is new, and a new word, a new sounding phrase. But to me, it's just so cliche and worn out at this point. But it's like they they know what they can do. They know what they can't do. They have the attention of the masses. They have the easiest way to reach people. Obviously, they own traditional broadcast antennas to
Yeah.
reach people with just rabbit ears and whatnot. So that's essentially the easiest way to reach someone. Maybe someone who's low income, maybe who doesn't have internet access or a cable subscription. That's where they're getting their information from. So
But it's easy to get a news release from a state agency, uh, from a bureaucrat that you have a relationship with, and run out and cover that. It's all set up for you. It's fed to you. It's all prepared for you. You don't really have to do a lot of work. It's easier to do that than to answer, uh, an email or a social media text or whatever from somebody that you don't know, haven't heard of, who's organizing a protest or something, or feels passionately about something in their own community, and you're thinking, oh my God, this person must be a crackpot. But that is precisely the thing that's being missed and perhaps should be covered. I think it's some of the stuff that you're doing a good job with your limited means at this point, John.
no, well, thank you. I mean, yeah, I mean that's naturally why I want to cover these things. I try to keep my opinions and biases out of them, which I do for the
Right.
most part. But
Yeah.
obviously, if I do cover a story, there is something about it that does interest me, that does appeal to me in some sort of way. So even watching traditional mainstream media news, I always get, bothered, like, oh, why they don't, go this much further into the story, or why they don't speak to this person or get this aspect. So, I try to do that. I try to get, every aspect of these stories, even the most quirky and absurd and even
Right.
comical things. I just throw it all in there because if it's true and it's interesting, yeah, I'll put it together.
And you're getting, I mean, you do a lot of live streams too. You do live
Yes,
streams, which, I mean,
yes, yeah.
is like the purest form. That's like the purest, most unadulterated form of news. And it's so exciting that we're able to do it now with social media and with the internet, that we're able to have conversations like the one we're having now.
No, exactly. I'm able to do with, like, a few $100 what maybe like 10 years ago would cost
Mm.
thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to need the same amount of stuff to produce the transmission. So
Right.
it's just amazing what technology has come to.
Well, John, it's been great talking to you again. It's been a while. I'm sure we will chat again. I'm going to tell everybody, go to eyesonnj.org. Look for Eyes on NJ on Twitter, on Facebook, on other social media platforms. John Edwards IV, John Edmunds IV. Oh, I don't want to confuse you with John Edwards. God forbid. John Edmunds IV, IB the fourth, on Facebook. And thanks so much, John, for being with us. And we'll get this out on social media and hope a lot of people see it.
I appreciate it, Dan. No, thank you. Definitely, I'll share this out in the network as well. I think you've
Good.
done great interviews with some of the other folks you have on here. So I'll definitely look forward to more.
And the best to everybody on your team, and happy holidays.
No, thank you. Thank you to you and yours as well.
Thank you, John. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.